Hello, my name is Marcus Thordal from the Brocade Solution Center. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can run VMware NSX on Brocade VCS Fabric. So, VMware NSX really is one of the strongest components in a software-defined data center. But when you do your virtual network, you want to avoid that you have to manage both a virtual and a physical network. Therefore, the VCS Fabric is a great physical network for your VMware NSX infrastructure. Since it is a true fabric, it automatically forms when you connect the switches. You can make non-disruptive changes to the network while you're running your applications on top without any application disruption. That means you can expand the physical network underneath. With network convergence times being sub-second, there are no impact on your running applications. Even if you want to decommission parts of the network because you're no longer using it, you can do that without any application impact. In addition here too, and really another really strong element of a true fabric is that if you need more network capacity between your applications in the network, you can just go in and add that capacity non-disruptively, and the traffic will be load balanced at layer 1 across all physical links between the switches. But one of the major powers of an NSX infrastructure is, of course, that you can do microsegmentation. I will show you in a little bit what that means as well, but Brocade provides virtual traffic managers or load balancers within that microsegmented environment as well. Another capability with the VCS Fabric is that it can do layer 2 gateway in hardware, also known as a hardware VTAP. You can deploy these hardware VTAPs redundantly across up to 4 switches for access from within your NSX virtual infrastructure to physical devices, such as, for example, a database running on a Unix server, or it could be another non-virtualized entity, such as a data repository for the VMs to use. But when we deploy, our VMs on, layers of abstraction, very often what we see is that when we have challenges or problems, that it's very hard to figure out where the problem really is across the physical infrastructure underneath. With the integration of vRealize with NSX, you're able to, from the virtual infrastructure, to basically go in and pinpoint and determine exactly what the root cause is, and through log insight integration, the virtual infrastructure admin has visibility into log messaging on the physical network switches. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change gears a little bit and show you the integration with the hardware VTAP. So what I'm showing you here is from a VCS Fabric, I go in and I define the NSX controller I want to connect to. At this point in time, I haven't set up anything on the NSX side to provide this layer 2 hardware VTAP. But you can see here, I go in and specify the controller address, and now you can see that the controller is not yet connected, but I do have reachability from a networking perspective, as I can ping the controller. What I'm going to do now then is basically take the certificate from the fabric, and then I'm going to bring that into the NSX manager and register the network. So as we go to the NSX manager, I go in and I add the fabric. And remember, since it is a true fabric, meaning that it behaves like a single logical entity, I only have to do this registration once, whether I do any changes afterwards by adding or removing switches. And as we go back, you can now see that it is connected. The next thing I want to do is then configure layer 2 bridging across the network from logical switches within the NSX. So at this point, there are no logical switches bridged out to any VLANs. So what I have to do is go back into the NSX manager, And as we're in here, we basically start with logical switch number 1, and I say, okay, I want to map this to VLAN number 4. What I do here is I basically select the VCS and I specify the VLAN that I want to map it to, and now all devices in VLAN 4 are available for VMs that are defined in logical switch number 1, or as you can see here, VNI number 6001. These tunnel endpoints that you see there in my VLAN table are the VTEPs across the different ESX servers in the infrastructure that are hosting logical switch number 1. And then as we go to a client, or I think I will show you the MAC address table first. So let's take a look at the MAC address table. So you can see here that I have all these MAC addresses that are different VMs now available in VLAN number 4, sitting behind all these different tunnel ports, which are the virtual tunnel endpoints on the ESX servers. And at the bottom there, I highlighted my physical server, or bare metal server, that I now want to send traffic to from a VM inside the NSX infrastructure. And that machine there, 003, is the MAC address, is connected on a VLAC number 3. So let's go to the client machine, and you can see now I can ping the bare metal server. I get a reply, and as I list the ARC table, you can see that it is that MAC address 003 that I showed you before. So really very simple. The only thing I had to do was configure the VCS Fabric a single time, and then from there on I do all administration within NSX. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a review of what this VCS Fabric really looks like. So it has a single virtual IP address that's used to interact and manage across all the switches in the fabric. I have the overlay, you could say, defined across multiple switches. In this case, you can see that it's R-bridge 1 and R-bridge 2. So I have a redundant virtual tunnel endpoint across these two. And now I want to show you for the how I was going to go in and add multiple layer 2 bridges across multiple logical switches. So here I'm grabbing logical switch number 2, and I want to map that to VLAN number 5. And then we take logical switch number 3 and map that to VLAN number 6. Again, at this point, I no longer do any configuration on the physical network, obviously. And you can see that now these VLANs are bridged into the physical network, like we saw before with logical switch number 1, the same thing for logical switch number 2 and number 3. And as we display the MAC address table, we can now see all these MAC addresses are available in VLAN 5 and VLAN 6 across those VMs in those logical switches. So this was really just a very quick example of how easy it is to use the hardware VTEP and in principle deploy NSX infrastructures on VCS Fabric, truly enabling the software-defined data center. For more information, please go to brocade.com. Thanks a lot for watching.